Hey everyone, welcome to Secrets Behind the Stars. Every twist and turn is waiting for you in this video, so make sure you subscribe and share before we dive in. Thank you for being here. The entertainment world is rattled once again. Elçin Sangu has sent shockwaves through social media and the glossy magazines with a set of heartfelt remarks that no one saw coming. With a confession that nudges the line between her public image and her private heart, she has marked a defining moment in her journey. Her history with Barış Arduç, and the long-whispered question of a marriage proposal, has stormed back to the center of the conversation after Elçin's latest words. Sitting under studio lights during a television appearance, she took a breath, steadied her voice, and revealed more than anyone expected about that pivotal night when, as she put it, when Barış asked me to marry him. I was genuinely shocked and deeply moved. She chose not to paint the scene in detail, leaving the place, the song, the exact hour to the imagination. Instead, she kept her gaze on the feeling, surprise that softened into a reverent kind of joy. From how she spoke, you could sense that the proposal caught her off guard and also tucked itself into her memory as something luminous and private. The internet, of course, did not stay quiet. Fans amplified her words across platforms in minutes, building a feverish echo chamber of declarations, questions, and theories. Was this a sign that the two of them were finding their way back to a chapter they never quite finished? Was the proposal recent or a treasured story from before? As snippets of the interview went viral, comments flooded in, and the couple's names edged their way toward the top of the trending lists. The fascination wasn't only about romance, it was about timing, careers, and the fragile architecture of their connection. Those who follow both stars closely sensed that this admission would raise the curtain on a new act, and all eyes turned to what would come next for Elçin and Barış. Magazines rushed out pieces charting their shared past and parallel successes, while readers dissected every timeframe, every public sighting, every moment they'd ever shared on and off camera. Elçin's willingness to show emotion thrilled her followers and unsettled the usual boundaries that separate performer from person. Her confession didn't just spark curiosity, it unleashed a bonfire of speculation. Editorials weighed the impossible balance between her projects and her heart's demands. Insiders dropped hints, friends stayed quiet, and the audience leaned in as if listening to a secret told in whispers. Even the tone of the afternoon talk shows shifted, less breezy banter, more careful reading between the lines. Suddenly, every frame of that interview had meaning. The tabloid world is, once more, in full crisis mode. Elçin's words have pressed on a tender spot for both fans and the celebrity press, and the ripple is still widening. Her admission about a deeply personal moment, about Barış offering a ring along with a future, has become the day's hottest conversation. With a sheen of tears glistening just enough to catch the studio light, she told the host and the audience, "When Barış proposed, I didn't expect it. I felt overwhelmed, intensely touched." She stopped there, refusing to indulge the usual checklist of proposal details. No witness list, no menu, no backdrop. What she gave instead was the pulse of the moment, the way it remapped the air around her. That restraint, paradoxically, fed the wildfire. Behind the scenes, people murmured that there was more, moments from the dressing room, quiet exchanges when the cameras cut, a glow that clung to her long after the segment wrapped. Rumors claimed that her team hadn't planned this revelation, that it slipped out because the question was personal enough and the timing felt strangely right. Whatever the truth, the effect was immediate. Social feeds exploded with montage edits of the couple, memes, and late-night thread dissections that tried to pin down timelines. Would there be a reunion? Were they already together? Or was this a beautiful reminder of a moment that happened once and would stay preserved in the past? Commentators debated how much a star's heart is allowed to share before the fragile line between art and intimacy dissolves. Some were moved by the vulnerability. Others warned that an open door is an invitation to intrusions. Still, there was no denying the mood. In offices, cafes, and back seats of rideshares, people replayed that clip and swapped takes. The confession landed like a bell, and its ring would not stop. And then, the media cycle turned the volume even higher. As the day wore on, another wave of coverage swept in, framing her revelation as the turning point everyone had been waiting for. The way she spoke about Barış had a softness that couldn't be faked, a sincerity that felt earned by years of shared history. She explained nothing and yet said everything. When he looked at me and asked that question, she said in a later segment's teaser that spread faster than the full show itself, I felt the ground tilt, in the best way. The room went still in that moment, the host lowered their voice, and even the studio audience seemed to hold its breath. Again, she avoided specifics. No ring box description, no choreography of the night. But the significance was clear, the memory holds weight, and it still vibrates in her when she speaks. Immediately, fans resurrected old interviews, old red carpet glances, old social media likes, treating them as puzzle pieces that might reveal whether the present was about to echo the past. Columnists noted how the highs of her career had always been accompanied by a fierce privacy, and yet here she was, trusting the public with a fragment of something deeply personal. That paradox, privacy intact, vulnerability offered, made the moment feel rare and precious. Talk of next steps swirled like confetti floating in an updraft. Some voices insisted an announcement was imminent. Others cautioned patience, pointing out that a confession isn't a promise, and a memory isn't a map. But the energy didn't dim. It became a phenomenon, people tracking every whisper as if it were a comet in the night sky. By evening, opinion shows were booking sources and analysts to parse tone and subtext, to measure what was said against what was withheld. The conversation wasn't just emotional, it was forensic. Soon, chatter about their careers folded back into the conversation, because with stars like Elçin, Sangu and Barış Arduç, the professional and the personal are constellations that always seem to reflect light onto each other. Her slate of projects, his schedule, their public moments, everything became material. Fans insisted they weren't trying to pry, they were trying to celebrate. The couple's story meant something to them, a reminder that even the most photographed lives have quiet corners where hope can grow. By the following morning, the story had matured into a full-fledged cultural moment. Clips from different angles appeared, small gestures slowed down and analyzed. A few tabloids claimed to have additional details. They hint at a private conversation after the broadcast, a phone call that stretched past midnight, messages that carried a tenderness impossible to hide. None of it confirmed, all of it endlessly circulated. Meanwhile, a friend of a friend appeared on a chat show and described the atmosphere on set as charged and sincere. People wanted facts, but what they clung to were feelings. And the feelings kept coming. A well-placed source described how Elçin has always been careful, almost protective, about the boundary between her artistry and her heart, and how stepping over that line, even for a moment, meant something significant had shifted. The same source speculated that Barış, too, understands the power of silence and chooses it more often than not, so if this is the beginning of another chapter, it would be black ink on thick paper, not a throwaway note. The idea resonated with viewers who've watched them blossom individually and together, on screen and out in the world. If you listened closely to her voice during that interview, you could hear the slightest tremor when she said his name. It was barely there, a quiver swallowed by a smile, but it gave everyone watching the sense that they were witnessing something unguarded. For 1 second, the guardrails dropped. The studio seemed to sense it too. The applause that followed was warm, not raucous, and the host gave her a heartbeat of calm to collect herself. People left that show feeling as if they had been trusted, and that trust traveled from living room to living room as the clip spread. Naturally, with emotion comes backlash and doubt. A handful of outlets accused the network of engineering a moment for ratings, suggesting that the question had been rehearsed and the response timed. But the behind-the-scenes accounts told a different story, one of spontaneity born from a direct question and an honest answer. Those accusations only thickened the intrigue, feeding a second cycle of coverage that kept the pair's names on everyone's lips. And each new column or segment returned to the same fulcrum. Was this confession a beginning, an echo, or both? In the end, what made the day extraordinary wasn't a plot twist or a definitive reveal. It was the ache of recognition. Of seeing a person who is used to standing under a spotlight let the light touch a part of herself that is usually hidden. For fans of Elçin, Sangu and Barış Arduç, it was a validation of what they'd believed for years. that their chemistry isn't a trick of lenses and angles, but something real that existed in the spaces between interviews and premieres. The confession scrubbed the distance clean, if only for a moment, and gave the audience permission to hope aloud. As for what happens next, patience will be our only witness. Maybe there is a quiet reunion unfolding, away from the noise, or maybe the proposal is a cherished story they keep between them, a reminder of a leap once taken. Either way, the reaction to her words guarantees that this topic won't fade quickly. It will stay at the center of the tabloids' carousel for weeks, maybe months, resurfacing each time one of them steps onto a red carpet or posts a cryptic caption. The more restrained the pair remains, the louder the world will wonder. And so, we circle back to where we began, a confession, a tremor in a voice, a studio that went still for a handful of seconds, and the feeling that an old conversation has opened again. The audience is listening. The media is buzzing. The couple at the heart of it all is choosing when and how to speak. Until they do, the story breathes on its own, sustained by what was said and the countless things that were not. This is where we wrap today's video from Secrets Behind the Stars. If you enjoyed spending this time with us, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share the video with friends who are following every beat of this story. Thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.